Hello YouTube, and welcome to another vacuum cleaner review from me, Steve, and today we're going to be talking about a very old favourite. It's the Hoover Pure Power. Now this machine in its current form has been running for a very long time. Hoover first brought this machine out in 1997. Okay. It was a replacement for the old Hoover Turbo Power, and it has been running now for the last 17 years, virtually unchanged from what it was when it first came out. It's been a very successful machine for Hoover Pure Power, and over the last 17 years we've seen the power input rise on this machine from what was originally a very modest 1200 watts, which was what it was when it was first launched, right up to now a massive 2200 watts. So the current Pure Powers that are currently selling in Argos and Currys, and indeed on the Hoover on the Hoover website, all are now over 2000 watts. But that is soon about to change, and I'll be talking about that in a little bit later. But essentially this cleaner is very effective, and it also has a lot of good points on it, and at this point in time it remains one of the very few budget upright cleaners that has a bag. Such is the obsession now with this country with bagless cleaners, thanks to a certain Mr. Dyson. Many bag cleaners now have died a death. They are like dinosaurs. I've done a couple of reviews of other bagged uprights, but both of those have been more expensive than this. There's the Sebo X4 and the Miele S7, but as far as the budget brands are concerned, you can get the Hoover Pure Power, which is what this is. It's also now in the Argos catalogue called the Hoover Enigma, which is basically the same machine as this, but it's in black and silver. And the Enigma, I believe, the one that's just going out now with the new regulations, was 2300 watts. So the thing is that the vacuum cleaners were getting so powerful that the EU has had to put the foot down and put a stop to it, because it was getting silly, to be quite honest, when a vacuum cleaner was using as much electricity as a 2-bar electric fire, and as much electricity as well as some electric kettles. The most powerful vacuum cleaner I've got is the Siemens Z6. That's a canister cleaner that's upstairs at the moment, and that is actually rated at 2500 watts. That's the most powerful one I own, and that is a staggeringly powerful machine. As far as I'm concerned, I don't believe that any vacuum cleaner should be over 2000 watts. This one is just over 2000 watts. It's a 2100 watt model. Okay, so these haven't changed much, as I say, over the last 17 years. They're still essentially the same now as they were then. It's reasonably well built cleaner. I'm actually quite impressed with the build quality on this one. They don't make these in England anymore. They used to make them in Cambuslang in Scotland right up until about 2005, and unfortunately Hoover Candy decided then that they were going to ship all production of this over to China, along with everything else they seemed to make. But on this occasion it doesn't seem to have affected build quality too much, because I have got a 2000 Pure Power upstairs, which is a lot older model than this. It's the 1300 watt version that was made in England, in Scotland rather, and when you compare the two together, the build quality is actually very similar. So not everything that's made in China is poor quality, although a lot can be. So on this machine it has, when you're looking at the top here, a 6 metre power cable. Now the Hoover Pure Power, when it first launched, had a longer cable than this. It was 8 metres. But as this now is a budget brand, they do tend to give you only 6 metres of cable on it, and that's easily removed from the top there, just like so. Just throw that out of the way. You have, on the top here, your 2 standard tools. The dusting brush here, which is actually not a bad one, although the bristles are rather stiff on it. It does make it feel more like a scrubbing brush than a dusting brush, but nevertheless, it doesn't suffer with the problem that a lot of other dusting brushes have, with the bristles being sucked in, because the bristles are only quite short. It's plastic bristles, not natural bristle. Then again, this is a budget cleaner. This cleaner's on sale at the moment for about £80, so you're not going to get an awful lot with it. So there's your standard upholstery tool. Not bad again. Has the brushes on the back there. Dedicated containers there for these. And again, it's something I do like to see on a vacuum cleaner. It's 3 separate tools. On this side, you've got your extension tube. Okay. And on that side, you have a very long crevice tool. Now that is actually a very good crevice tool. A lot of cleaners now only give you a short one, but the one drawback with it is because it's very narrow at the end. It does tend to make the motor strain, because being a 2100 watt motor, it needs a good airflow to keep it cool. So this, I wouldn't recommend using this for an extended length of time, otherwise you're going to overheat the motor. It wasn't a problem on the older machines because they were only 1200 watts. That fits in there. It can either fit in there, or they can stack on the top of each other like that and all fit down the same side. So it's up to you how you have that. Now, one of the best things about this machine is the hose. This hose is a full length stretch hose, and it will go all the way up a full flight of stairs. I know so because I've tried it numerous times. This is a very good cleaner for cleaning the stairs. If I just push it back on here like this, I can stretch this out right the way over to the other side of this room. It's a huge hose. It's an excellent length of hose on this machine. It's very similar to the hose that you find on the cyclonic version, the Hoover Turbo Power, which is also available in Argos and Currys. And that again has a hose the same length as this. And for a budget cleaner to have a hose this long is actually a very, very good thing. The Pure Power has always had a decent hose. The hose stores on the back. You have a little clip here. So if you want to use the hose to be cleaning your sofa and that with, you stick it into the bottom here, and what that does is it lowers the centre of gravity, which means that you can pull and tug on that, and all that happens is the machine will follow you rather than topple over. And I think that's a good thing as well. Very, very good. So normally that would fit on there. And then you wrap your hose over the top, the hose stowage, and it goes into the floor head, and then clips in there like that. So it's nice and neatly stored on the back. That is how the hose is the correct way to store it. On the back here as well, you've got a suction relief valve, and what that will do, it will start sucking in if the bag gets full or if there's a clog. And when you hear that sucking away, you know that there's a problem. What it also does, it allows the motor a small amount of airflow through there when there's the blockage. Because quite frankly, on a motor this powerful, you have to have a good airflow through it, otherwise it will overheat very rapidly. The filter on this machine, the exhaust filter, is actually in the back. So you press that lug down and it comes out like so. Again, it's fairly black because I do use this machine a fair amount. It's one of the upstairs cleaners. I've had this now for several months, and with this you can't actually replace the filter as it stands, because it's actually glued in, it's fixed in to the back of here. Now Hoover say that this is washable, so you wash it in warm water, and what you should do is get rid of some of this exhaust air dust, because every cleaner the exhaust air will eventually make that filter go black. That's what it's designed to do. See the motor through there. That fits back on nicely. Turn it back around to the front again. You've got the on-off switch here on the front. One single speed, on or off. On earlier models that would have had a bag full light there, but this being a budget model now, Hoover have stripped it bare down to the bone. There's no toys on this machine at all. There's no bag full indicator. Very early models had auto sense on here, which adjusted the power by itself. But again, that's all gone now, all discontinued. Press that bag latch down, removes the bag door to reveal the bag. Now I've just changed the bag in this one because this was the machine that I was using to fill my bag of filth for earlier reviews. That bag of filth was actually a Hoover Pure Power bag out of this machine. So everything basically was in that bag was what this machine had picked up over the last few months. And the bottom of here, you've got a pre-motor filter, like so. Very simple filter. They're not really supposed to be washable. Basically, when you buy a pack of bags, the Hoover ones, you get one of those included with it. So when you swap the 5 bags, when you use those, you put the new filter in the bottom of here. What that basically does is if you get a burst bag, that will protect the motor from anything large going through and damaging the fan. Unloading and loading the bag, very simple affair. You basically pull it off and lift it out like so to reveal the mount on the back of here. Now this is only a twin layer bag on this machine. What's strange to me is that when they come from the factory, these come fitted with a 3-layer paper bag. But when you try and get spares from the Hoover website or from anywhere else come to that, these are all genuine Hoover on here, but what you find is they're only a 2-layer bag. The other thing I found with this machine is that the seal on the bag is like a rubber membrane around there, and it doesn't seal perfectly onto here, so you get a fair amount of dust build-up inside the bag housing there. But it's very fine dust, so whether that is the dust that's coming through the bag or whether it's leaking around this joint, I don't know. But we don't get all the dust down here, it's only around the top there. So I suspect it's probably a bad seal on one of the bags I've been using. So basically that goes back in. Oh, and also they have a little latch there when you remove them, and you pull that down and the bag top seals. That pushes back on there, clicks nicely in. You think that bag looks actually quite small in there, but it does concertinas out a lot, so it gives you about a 4.5 litre capacity in that bag. And I found when I filled the last bag up, it went up to about half full, and it still had loads of suction on. So modern Hoover bags, they do lose suction, yes, I'll agree, but they don't lose suction as bad as they did in the olden days when they were only a single layer, and they weren't very good then. So the bag door goes back on like so, click shut, nice and secure. The Hoover roundel on the top there. This vent, people have spoken about this on reviews as well, that it's just there basically for cosmetic reasons, because just behind that vent there is no exhaust. The exhaust comes out of the back, as I talked about before, but they thought probably it would look nice to just keep that in and make it look like a vent. Okay, now on the cleaner head, you've got 4 position settings there, right down from the lowest up to the highest. Normally you would have it on about the second one there, which is perfectly fine for cut pile carpets. Okay, the underneath for the floor head, bring it up to the camera, and that just drops off. Now, this floor head has changed slightly from what the Pure Power was when it first launched, in that this brush roll is considerably thinner and slimmer, but it has very long and dense brushes on there, and there is no gaps in this brush roll apart from these tiny little guardrails here, but that does not seem to affect how it cleans, because the brushes are pretty much continuous all the way along. There's not big gaps in, unlike some other brush rolls that I've reviewed. So whilst that is a lot thinner than what the old one was, it's still actually very effective at getting the dirt up. The other thing I would notice about this brush roll is that it's very noisy. When the machine is upright, in the upright lock position, it's reasonably quiet, as a vacuum cleaner goes anyway. But as soon as you put this down onto the carpet and it starts to, they don't beat the carpet anymore like they used to, but the agitation on the carpet, it's very noisy, and you'll hear that when I push it round and do a demo on it later. But it has a stretch belt, same as always, and to replace that is a very easy affair, but you have to get to the belt from the top. You take the hood off, change the belt, rather than take the sole plate off. Okay, so there's your pile adjustment wheels. That goes up and down according to what you put the setting on the top on. That's the base of the machine. In terms of its weight, it weighs around about, I'd say, 7 kilos, that one. I never give an exact figure on the weight, but it's not the lightest weight cleaner, and it's not the heaviest one either. It's your average upright, really. Vacs do a lot of very lightweight ones now. I did a review on the Air Agile, and that one is only 4.5 kilos, so that's very impressively light. And then they go right up to the Big Daddy, which is basically the Kirby. Now, if you've ever had a Kirby, you'll know how heavy they are. They weigh a ton. I probably will do a demonstration of a Kirby in due course, because I've got some old Kirbys upstairs that I picked up for next to nothing, because no one wants them these days, which is a shame because they do a damn good job of cleaning. And I did try a job working for Kirby a long time ago, but even though I do these demonstrations now, I couldn't sell any. Yeah, I tried to sell the Kirby G4 back in 1994, it would have been, and I lasted about a couple of weeks. They did all the demos, all the training sessions, showed you how to try and sell them to people, and I did a few in-house demonstrations there, but I couldn't sell them. As soon as we told them how much they cost, it was, oh no, I can't afford that, because they are very, very expensive Kirbys. But the Hoover Pure Power here, the good old Hoover Pure Power, is less than £100, so it does represent good value for money, in my opinion, this machine. So, without further ado, right, before I just plug it in, we have the pedal release here. This is my only pet hate about this machine. This pedal release has never been altered in all 17 years that they've made the Pure Power. Now, on the old Turbo Power and Turbo Power 2, the foot release was nice and easy to operate, but on this one, it's clunky, and you really have to press it hard to release that down, because if you don't, it clicks and it catches, and eventually that release pedal will break, and that's a problem that's affected so many Pure Powers, but Hoover has never done anything about it. And it really surprises me that for 17 years that this has been running, they've never altered that foot release pedal. It has always been stiff and unwieldy. You need to have shoes on to be able to operate this cleaner. You can't do it barefoot, because it would really dig in. So backwards and forwards, runs across very easily when it's switched off, so you can move it around. Very nice. And then it locks in the upright position there. So again, if you don't quite press the knob properly, you hear that clicking noise, and if that's clicking, it means you're not pressing it hard enough. And if you keep on doing that, it'll eventually wear away at the mechanism. So there we go. It's not a tall cleaner. I do find it quite short, but nevertheless, it does move around easily, so there we go. let's put the plug in. I'm not going to be putting any filth down on the carpet for this one because I don't want to waste another vacuum cleaner bag. I tend to put the bag of dust down more on bagless cleaners now. But this cleaner, it will pick up anything. I can tell you that honestly. The pickup on it is very good. Even with that very thin brush roll, it picks up extremely well. So here we go. Recline it. It's got a soft start motor, so that when you turn it on, it's very similar to the VAC Zoom in the way it starts. It starts off and it builds up the speed gradually. So here we go. So yeah, it's a very, very nice machine to use. It's not the quietest machine. It's alright when you've got it standing upright, but that brush roll, as I say, it's quite noisy. But does leave a few marks in the carpet from the wheels, but it really does raise that nap. And I can again see all my footprints in here when I'm walking over that carpet again. It is so easy to push around as well. Considering that it's a 2100 watt motor, the effort that you need to move it round, you can move it around with a couple of fingers on the end of there. It's a fantastic cleaner to push around. When I compare it to the other one that Hoover do, the bagless one, the Turbo Power Cyclonic, that one it can be so heavy to push round, but this one, even though it's more powerful, and I think that one of the reasons for that is because on the sole plate you have bleed valves along the side here, which cause some of the suction not to pull down onto the carpet. In other words, it's not a sealed head here. It has bleed valves along the side for what they call the power edge cleaning. I wouldn't say it's power edge cleaning, because on the old Pure Powers there used to be a revolving brush around that in these holes as well on the side, but now it just relies on suction coming through there. So it will pick up stuff along the skirting board, but it's not power edge cleaning. Okay, so what would I rate this cleaner as? Well, for the money it is, if you want a bag cleaner, and some people still do, because this does sell well on the Argos website, and indeed I did buy this from Argos, and it has had a lot of good reviews. There are a couple of negative ones on there, but I wouldn't give this a negative review, not at all. The Hoover Pure Power is one of my favourite uprights. It's old now, it's long in the tooth, it doesn't have a very long cable, but it makes up for that in the fact that it has an extremely long hose and it cleans the carpets well. Not only that, but it's easy to push around as well. My rating for this cleaner, for the price range that it is 9 out of 10. It's very good. I can't find much wrong with it, to be quite honest with you, and I do honest reviews, and I have slated cleaners before and they haven't been any good. But this one, it's a 17-year-old design. It's been going as long as it's been going forever, basically, and it still sells, mainly because it's one of the very few bag cleaners left. And what's going to be happening in September, as I've mentioned in other videos, is that the EU regulations are going to say that no, you can't have 2100 watt motors in vacuum cleaners anymore. It's too much. And what they're saying is that manufacturers will have to bring the wattages down to under 1600 watts. They'll have them on a scale of A to G for several criteria. So what they'll do, they'll assess them on how much energy they use, the cleaning efficiency on carpet, the cleaning efficiency on hard floor, and also they'll base them on emissions, which is basically how much dust comes back out of the exhaust again, and they'll also be rated on noise. In other words, how much noise they make when they're being used. So what's going to happen is, like, grade A energy efficiency will be sort of anywhere underneath 700 watts, and grade G, that's the it's going to be the top one, it's 1600 watts. So all the manufacturers now, in the race to be the most energy efficient, are bringing out these same models again, but with substantially smaller motors in, and this is no exception. You know, I'm pleased to say that the Pure Power is being carried on. I would have liked to see a new bagged upright from Hoover, but best of the devil you know, I suppose. This one is going down from 2100 watts, and it's going to look identical to this, except it's just going to have eco on the front, and it's going down to a third of that power. They're taking it down from 2100 watts, this is, to just what I reckon, looking at the Argos website, is going to be around the region of 700 watts. Now, this machine originally would have had a 1200 watt motor in. What they're going to do is put a 700 watt motor in something like this, and I just don't know how good that's going to clean with just a third of the motor power. I know that what these are rated at the moment is too much, but I would have thought that if Hoover had brought this back out as, say, the Green Ray model that they had a few years ago, at 1200 watts again, that would have been amply sufficient, because I have got one of these upstairs that runs on 1300 watts and it picks up really well. But we will have to see when people buy these 700 watt machines what they think of them, because no matter what people say, they're not going to be as powerful. But they're also not going to waste a lot of as much electricity and just throw hot air out the back, because this machine does get very hot. It does throw an awful lot of hot air out that exhaust. So doing it in a small room in the summer, you're going to make your room very hot. But basically, this machine, I love it. It's a fantastic machine. It's like a Hoover of old. Even though it's made by Hoover Candy now, it's made in China. It's I still think they're very good, and I'd still recommend one. I'd recommend one wholeheartedly. Even at the 2100 watts, this cleans fantastic. It really does. You saw my bag of filth in the old videos that I've done. The amount of crap that comes out of that bag, that is all what that machine has picked up. So basically, whatever I throw down for everything else on this carpet has all been collected by this machine in the first place. So, there we go. That is a review of the Hoover Pure Power. And I'll see you again soon.